Hello, and welcome to a journey of power, rest, and self-living. Tailored specifically for Black women, Decenter White Women is the e-learning course to transform your path for your own well-being. First and foremost, I'm Vonda Page, and I am excited to be here. I am excited to share my journey on decentering white women with you. Most recently, I have had an absolutely harrowing experience with a group of white women that began as my customers. And I guess a good, 50% or maybe 40%, I don't know, of that group literally reverted into white women violence in the most vitriolic, diabolical, disgusting, and deplorable ways, such that it literally sent me into a mental health crisis. And from that point, I told the group that I was going to take a sabbatical or take a hiatus, and then they flipped out. And such to the point where literally there is some whole undercover scheming and planning underway for, harming me or whatever. And I have finally gotten to the point where I have learned this lesson enough times that I no longer have to repeat it by having it taught to me again. Because between the emotional, physical, psychological, financial harm from white women, that I put myself in their way. I put myself in harm's way. And so what I recognized and realized, what you'll learn in this course, what you will learn when you listen to the podcast, what you will learn in the ebook, what you will learn as you follow my content, is that when we don't address our wounds, all those wounds keep on coming up over and over and over again. And so there are 4 steps to decentering whiteness. The first is acknowledging anti-Blackness, acknowledging whiteness and understanding it, really getting to the crux of what is the role that whiteness and white women play in your life. The second is assessing your safety, understanding based on the role that white women play in your life, what your safety is, right? And getting that whole piece figured out. After you assess your safety, you really have to be prepared to accept the challenges, because there are going to be challenges that ensue, even more so once you are, on this path to decenter whiteness. And then that 4th thing is addressing your wounds. If you do not address your wounds in the way you go about your life in everyday basis, just in your every whatever, if you're not like, healing is my number one job, I'm on my healing tip, I'm focusing on my message, my movement, and my mindset each and every day, I am remaining grateful, appreciative, I'm remaining positive, I'm not letting no bullshit come out my mouth. Like, when you're doing that and you doing it all the time, right, you're going to already be in a space where it's going to be easy to focus more so on yourself. But if you are not working on your own stuff, it's going to be invisible. And that invisibility of your own issues, your own trauma, your own nonsense, and your own bullshit, right, is where we start. So acceptance, approval, and access has been our goal for centuries. As Black people, as Black women, we've been looking for acceptance by white people, approval by white people, and access to whiteness, white spaces, or whatever, right? So if we can first and foremost, right, recognize that has been what we've been focused on, right? But we've yet to succeed in any of it. Black people are not accepted anywhere except for on a basketball court, on the dance floor, entertaining somebody, and in some way being exploited for next to nothing. Okay? That's the only time we're accepted. So I don't count that. Approval. There is no approval. If you Black, get back. White is right. Brown, get out of town. But Black, get back. There is no approval when you are a Black person. And access. all access is conditional because whiteness is conditional. So access to anywhere. They are kicking the 3 black women who got these prominent roles in these institutions. They're kicking them all out, just like they kicked out the 3 or 4 black women CEOs that were out of the Fortune 500. Why? Because access is conditional. Access, approval, and acceptance are all conditional. We will never reach any of those because that is not how the system works. So that brings us to the beginning of what we have to do. The work that we must do in decentering whiteness, number one, first and foremost, is acknowledge whiteness. We have to acknowledge whiteness and how it shows up in our lives. When we look at whiteness and we think about how it shows up in our lives, I put 3 separate categories in here. And this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about beauty and image. We're going to talk about business and power. And we're going to talk about diet, fashion, and food. So when you think about beauty and image, you must acknowledge whiteness and the standards of beauty that we got from white people as not only American black people, American African people, but African people in the diaspora. We've gotten certain beauty images and standards handed to us, and we've adopted them. And when we can look in our own selves and say, okay, what standards have I adopted that are Eurocentric, that are white? And why did I do that? Did I do that because my job was pressuring me, because I'm the only black person, I'm scared to have my hair natural? Been there. I just did it. And I was like, whatever. And people used to, guess what? Call me a bald-headed bitch. Under their breath. I heard it so many times. I used to be like, fuck these people, right? Because I wasn't going to let that beauty image, I was not going to let that that image of what somebody else is telling me, that wasn't going to be what I was going to go with. Because I'm like, no, not at all. So, this is our first prompt, first questions, set of things for you to think about. Number 1, how have you altered or chosen your current beauty standards? Who told you you have to have these type of eyebrows, this type of hair, this type of lash, this type of makeup, these are the type of clothes? Who told you you have to look a certain way? Where'd you get it from? What's your look? Who does it mostly emulate? Do you look more Eurocentric, or do you look like a black person? Do you look traditionally African? Do you look traditionally European? Second question, what is your comparison, if any, to anyone, to black women, to white women, to African standards, to European standards? And then thirdly, are there things you do in terms of your own outward appearance, your beauty and your image, that you have to do versus that you want to do? So do you pluck your eyebrows because you have to do it or because you want to do it? Do you wear lashes because you have to do it or because you want to do it? Do you wear wigs or any kind of protective or extension style because you have to do it or because you want to do it? That's the question. And that is the thing that's going to help you in acknowledging whiteness when it comes to beauty and image.